Let's get right into it. Number 8. The dancing. Plague of 1518. It starts in Strasbourg one summer morning in July. A woman named Frau Trophia steps into the street, lone, and begins to dance. Not a jig, not a folk tune, just dancing. Arms flailing, feet stomping, eyes wide, no music, no reason. She dances for hours, then days. By the third day, she's still going, no rest, no food, barely water. And then someone else joins her. Then another, then 10, then 30. Over 400 people are caught in this frenzy, dancing in the streets like their lives depend on it. They don't stop. They can't stop. Some dance until their feet bleed. Others collapse from heart attacks or strokes. At least to die every day. This isn't a festival. It's a medical mystery wrapped in a horror movie. And the city officials, it's their solution. More music, they actually thought. They've got too much hot blood. Let's hire professional musicians and build stages so they can dance it out. So now you've got hundreds of delirious people twitching and spinning in the summer heat, while drummers and pipers play louder and faster, encouraging the madness. It goes on for over a month before it just stops. No warning. No explanation. One day, the dancers drop where they stand, exhausted, traumatized. And the plague ends as mysteriously as it began. Historians still debate what caused it. Was it mass hysteria, form of stress-induced psychosis after years of famine and disease? Or was it something darker or got poisoning from a fungus on rye bread that causes hallucinations and convulsions? The same stuff that might have caused the Salem witch trials? Whatever it wasn't divine inspiration. It was a citywide neurological breakdown disguised as a dance party. To this day, no one knows why Frau Trophia started dancing. Or why, for a brief, terrifying moment. An entire city followed. Number 7. The Emu War of 1932. Australia. Western Australia, to be exact. The Great Depression is crushing the country. Veterans of World War I were given land to farm, promised a fresh start. But the land is harsh, the rain's unreliable, and the economy is in freefall. Then, the final insult, the emus. Hundreds of thousands. A Venus giant, flightless birds the size of a man start migrating into farmland. They trample crops, break through fences, they drink from irrigation tanks. They're like feathered tanks with beaks. Farmers beg the government for help. And the government, in its infinite wisdom, says, "We'll send the army." Yes, the Australian military. With machine guns. To fight birds, enter Major Lionel Meredith, fresh off the battlefields of World War I. Is now tasked with leading Operation Emu. He arrives with 2 soldiers, a Lewis gun, a heavy machine gun, and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. The plan? Ambush? A large flock near a water source. Simple first engagement. Over 1,000 emus in the open. The gunner opens fire. The emus scatter fast, too fast. The machine gun can't track them. Bullets fly, but few hit. The birds zigzag like they've studied guerrilla warfare. The army retreats, humiliated. Second attempt. They try to herd the emus into a trap using trucks, but the emus outmaneuver them, splitting into small groups, vanishing into the scrub. The machine gun jams in the dust. The soldiers are sweating, frustrated, realizing they're losing a war against birds that can run 30 miles per hour and take 5 bullets before going down. After a month of failed ambushes, the official tally, about 200 emus killed. At a cost of thousands of rounds, the army pulls out. The emus? They keep breeding. They still dominate the outback. To this day, Australia has never officially declared defeat. But everyone knows who won. It wasn't just absurd, it was a national embarrassment. Newspapers mocked the military. The British press had a field day. And the farmers? They eventually built better fences. But the Emu War remains the only time in history a country's military was defeated by its national. Bird. Number 6, asterisk the incident at Bern, Switzerland-1954. Now, this one sounds like a Cold War spy thriller. But it's real. In 1954, Swiss authorities intercept a suspicious vehicle near the German border. Inside, a man claiming to be a West German diplomat. But something's off. His papers are perfect to perfect. His accent is flawless. His manners, impeccable. But when questioned, he freezes at odd moments, reacts strangely to simple questions. They search the car. Hidden in a false compartment, microfilm, coded messages, a list of Swiss military installations. This man is a spy. But not just any spy, a body double. Interrogation reveals the truth. The real diplomat had been kidnapped months earlier. Man, a Soviet-trained imposter who had been living his life, attending meetings, signing documents, even sleeping in his bed while secretly leaking state secrets. Back to Moscow. But here's where it gets weird. When the real diplomat is finally found to live in East Germany, he has no memory of the last 6 months. Doctors discover he had been subjected to experimental brainwashing techniques, sensory deprivation, hypnosis, drug-induced amnesia. The Soviets weren't just replacing people. They were erasing them. This wasn't an isolated case. Declassified. Files later revealed a Soviet program called Operation Agents Vo, aimed at creating perfect political doppelgangers. They'd kidnap targets, train replacements for months, then swap them during travel or medical emergencies. Some never returned. Others came back, different. One French ambassador was recalled after staff noticed, suddenly hated wine, something unthinkable for a Frenchman. Another British official started using his left hand despite being right-handed his whole life. Were there more? How many high-ranking officials were quietly replaced during the Cold War? We'll never know. But the Bern incident proved one terrifying truth. During the Cold War, the person across the table might not be who they claim to be. Number 5. The Taos Hum, New Mexico. The 1990s, a low, rumbling sound begins haunting the town of Taos. It's not constant. It comes and goes. It's a deep, droning vibration like a distant diesel engine pulsing through the ground, through the walls, through people's bones. But here's the thing. Only 2% of the population can hear it. Those who do describe it as maddening. It keeps them awake, causes headaches, nausea, dizziness. Some say it feels like pressure in the skull. Scientists from the EPA, the Air Force, even NASA come to investigate. They set up microphones, seismographs, electromagnetic sensors. They find nothing. No source, no frequency. It's no mechanical origin. But the people who hear it, they're not lying. Their symptoms are real. Brain scans show abnormal activity in the auditory cortex. One theory, it's infrasound sound below, the range of human hearing that somehow resonates with certain people's inner ears. Another, underground military experiments, or maybe it's tinnitus on a mass scale. But the creepiest theory, it's not external at all, it's internal. A neurological glitch, a shared hallucination triggered by environmental stress, or something else. To this day, the Taos hum persists. And so do reports from around the world. Bristow hum, the Windsor hum, the Kokomo hum. Always the same. A low, unexplained drone heard by a select few, driving them slowly insane. Is it government tech? Alien signals? A crack in reality? Don't know. But if you ever move to Taos, pack earplugs. Asterisk number 4. The Green Children of Whoop. England, 12th century. Harvest season. Farmers in the village of Woolpit are working the fields when they stumble upon 2 children sitting dazed near a wolf pit, a trap for wolves. But these aren't ordinary kids. Their skin is green, not dirt, not paint. Green like leaves, like algae. The boy and girl are dressed in strange clothing, speak an unknown language, and refuse to eat anything except raw beans. The villagers take them in. Over time, the green fades. They learn English, and they tell a story that sounds like science fiction. They say they came from a place called St. Martin's Land, a twilight world where the sun never fully rises, where everything is green, and the people are all green too. They were herding their father's flock when they followed a loud noise into a cave. The next thing they knew, they were in England in pain, blinded by the sunlight. The boy dies shortly after. The girl survives, is baptized, and grows up in the village. She never returns home. Now, historians argue about this. Was it a folktale, a political allegory, or could it be true? Some theorists believe the children were Flemish orphans. Flemish weavers were persecuted in England at the time, and their green skin was due to malnutrition, a condition called hypochromic anemia, which can give a greenish pallor. The green world could have been a metaphor for their lost homeland, but others aren't so sure. The details are too specific. The cave, the sound, the sudden appearance. Some even suggest it was an early account of alien contact, two beings from another dimension or planet, accidentally crossing into our world. Whatever happened in Woolpit, it left a mark. The village still celebrates Green Children Day, and the story remains one of the most bizarre, unsolved mysteries of the Middle Ages. Number 3. The Philadelphia Experiment-943. This one's legendary. And if it's true, it rewrites the laws of physics, the U.S. Navy. During World War II, allegedly conducted a top-secret experiment on the USS Eldridge. A destroyer escort docked in Philadelphia. The goal? Make the ship invisible to radar, to the eye, to reality itself. Using Einstein's unified field theory, which, by the way, was never completed, scientists supposedly generated a massive electromagnetic field around the ship. It worked too well. Eyewitnesses claim the ship didn't just vanish. It teleported one moment it was in Philadelphia, the next it appeared in Norfolk, Virginia, over 200 miles away, only to reappear minutes later in Philadelphia. But the real horror? The crew, sailors, were found fused into the metal walls. Others went insane, screaming about seeing the future or reliving their deaths. Some disappeared completely. One man reportedly teleported into a building in Philadelphia and was never seen. Again, the Navy denies everything, calls it a hoax, says the ship wasn't even in port that day. But declassified documents show research into degaussing using magnetic fields to make ships immune to mines, which might have been twisted into this wild story. Still, why do so many sailors swear it happened? Why do some claim to have seen the Eldridge flicker like a mirage before vanishing? And why did Einstein reportedly regret his involvement, saying humanity wasn't ready for such power? Whether it's fact or fiction, the Philadelphia experiment became a cornerstone of conspiracy lore, warning that tampering with space and time comes at a cost. And if it did happen, well, maybe the Navy's not telling us the whole truth. Maybe some doors once opened can't be closed. Number 2. The raining animals phenomenon. You've heard of rain? Maybe even acid rain, but what about frog rain? Fish rain? Spider rain? It's happened. It's more than once. In 1873, Bath, England, frogs fall from the sky during a storm. In 1998, Singapore, hundreds of fish drop onto streets. In 2007, Honduras, rain of fish happens every year during the summer. Locals call it lluvia de peces and collect the fish to cook. Scientists have a theory. Waterspouts. It's tornadoes over water that suck up small animals and carry them miles before dumping them elsewhere. It's plausible, but it doesn't explain everything. In 2012 in Nakhon Ratchasima, Thailand, hundreds of spiders rained down, not falling. Ow. Falling with silk threads, like they were parachuting. The ground was covered in webs. People reported seeing the sky filled with floating spiders. Then there's the case of the raining meat in Kentucky. Yes, we mentioned it earlier, but it's worth repeating. In 1876, chunks of flesh fell from a clear sky. Scientists said it was vulture vomit. But how do you explain the texture? Is the taste? The fact that it wasn't just one spot, but a field-sized area? And in 2014, in Sri Lanka, milk rained from the sky. It's not water that tasted like milk, actual milk. Locals collected. It tested its same composition as cow's milk. Is it all just weather anomalies? Or is there something stranger at play? Could there be pockets in the atmosphere where matter gets trapped and released unpredictably? Or are we brushing up against dimensions we don't understand? Whatever the cause, one thing's clear. The sky has a sense of humor, and sometimes it rains things that shouldn't exist. Number 1. The Silent Twins, June and Jennifer. Gibbons, Wales, 1963. twin girls born. From the start, they're inseparable. They develop their own language gibberish, a rapid-fire mix of English and Welsh, spoken only between them. By age 8, they've stopped speaking to anyone else. Not parents, not teachers, not doctors. They communicate only with each other, in whispers. In a world of their own, they're sent to a school for children with learning difficulties. But they're not slow. They're brilliant. They write novels. They dream of fame. But they're trapped by their silence, by their bond, by a shared psychosis that keeps them locked in a twin universe. At 19, they're sent to Broadmoor, a high-security psychiatric hospital. Why? Because they set fires? Small ones at first, then bigger. They say it was to get attention, to feel something. In Broadmoor, they continue writing. They create an entire fictional world, kings, wars, betrayals. They promise each other. One day, they'll be free. One day, they'll be famous. But then one night in 1993, Jennifer falls mysteriously ill. She dies within hours. The cause, officially, acute myocarditis. Unofficially, rumors swirl. Did June will her to die so she could finally be free? Did Jennifer sacrifice herself? June is released 2 weeks later. She gives interviews. She talks finally. She says, "I'm free." But 3 weeks after Jennifer's death, June is found, dead in her bed. Cause, sudden heart failure. No one knows what really happened. But the story of the silent twins remains one of the most haunting cases of twin telepathy, shared identity, and the terrifying power of silence. Were they mentally ill? Or were they two souls so connected that one couldn't survive without the other? Some say they made a pact. We live together, we die together. And in the end, they kept their promise. That's all for today. These events sound like fiction, like jokes, like something out of a Twilight Zone episode. But every single one is rooted in history, documented, reported, investigated. The world is stranger than we admit. Governments lie, science stumbles, and sometimes the truth is so bizarre. We have no choice but to laugh, cry, or dance until we drop. If you enjoyed this, smash that like button. Subscribe for more stories that sound made up, because sometimes reality is the craziest story of all.